Joy Behar calls her a 10. I mean, how dare she objectify a woman with a sexist rating system, but it's such a typical thing from a 1.5.
Well said.
The motives stink worse than Joy Behar's jog bra. I mean, assuming she jogs. Oh, wait, there she is. She has a point. Maybe I am obsessed, but some people are obsessed with Bigfoot, and they don't get to see him on TV every afternoon. And if they did, could they tell the two apart? I don't know.
Greg didn't even raise his voice. He raised eyebrows. With one sarcastic swing after another, he flipped Joy's signature smugness into what looked like a full-blown identity crisis. And then there's Tyrus, cool as ever, barely flinching, just firing off brutal one-liners like he was playing target practice with her reputation. The vibe: less friendly banter and more comedic execution.
It's not even that. In The View, you don't need to find Trumpers. You need to fire your race baiters.
Yeah.
You need to fire the two races. You've had people. You had a McCain on there. You've had people on there before, and you ran them off. So the racist ones who want to stick to this, Whoopi and Sonny, and the, was it Bette Midler? What's her name? Yeah, broke-ass Bette Midler. Fire them and bring people in. Maybe you could get McCain to come back. She was a Republican, but every show and every break, she was nearly in tears because she was being attacked.
Right there on live TV, Tyrus didn't need to raise his volume, just dropped punchlines that hit like concrete blocks. Gutfeld. He delivered jabs so sharp they didn't cut. They sliced straight through the mask of self-importance Joy's been wearing for decades. Let's be real. Joy's been riding the shaky throne of daytime TV for way too long. Untouchable in her own little echo chamber. But this was the ambush no one warned her about. She got ambushed by a duo who didn't bring outrage or outrage culture. They brought comedic ammo with sniper-like precision, the kind of ammo that doesn't shout, it exposes. The kind that rips through fake laughs and shaky narratives with surgical sarcasm. Gutfeld came in with timing so precise it could cut glass, mocking Joy's every line like he'd rehearsed it in a comedy dojo. Meanwhile, Tyrus just watched her unravel, sipping on her discomfort like it was his afternoon espresso. And suddenly, Joy wasn't laughing, because when the jokes turn on you and the room's no longer clapping with you, that throne starts shaking hard. This wasn't just TV. This was demolition, televised, unfiltered, and way overdue. There wasn't some dramatic showdown. No explosive back and forth. No heated studio face-off where Joy Behar could raise her voice and drown out the other side. Nope. This wasn't a debate. It was a straight-up assassination by silence. And Joy, she wasn't even in the room when it happened. That's what made it hit so hard.
This week, Joy Behar accused Elon Musk of being pro-apartheid, but then begged him afterwards not to sue. Musk lawyers have yet to comment because they're still checking to see if it's legal to sue a cow.
Shots fired.
Just a legal question. I don't know why it's so upsetting. I don't make the rules in this country.
Greg Gutfeld didn't need to drop her name. He didn't have to. The way he painted the picture, everyone knew who he was talking about. He described this certain type of media figure with laser accuracy, the loud, self-important daytime host who preaches from a velvet throne, wine glass in hand, acting like they've got the pulse of the people while they've probably never pumped their own gas. Sound familiar? Yeah. If that isn't Joy Behar to the letter, then gravity doesn't exist. Gutfeld pulled no punches but did it with surgical precision, no shouting, just punchlines that cut. He laid the foundation with satire, dressed it in humor, and made sure everyone watching felt the sting without needing a name tag. And then came Tyrus, playing his role like a cold-blooded closer. No theatrics. No extra noise. Just him, staring into the lens like he was asking America a very simple question: you're still letting this woman talk? His delivery, icy, intentional, devastating. No need for yelling. The silence between his words said it all. While Joy keeps spinning her wheels in front of an audience that claps on command like trained seals, Tyrus and Gutfeld were operating on a whole different level, calmly, methodically dismantling her whole act without even inviting her to the table. This wasn't random shade. It was a calculated strike. A comedy segment disguised as a hit piece, built brick by brick to expose the illusion of influence. And by the end of
some news, the feral monsters of The View say they've never heard of you-know-who. True, the show that makes mornings hell claim that my name doesn't ring a bell. It's time for...
Our view on The View. Ugh.
Yeah, The witch's coven finally shows me some lovin'. Yesterday on The View, yours truly was the subject of conversation. Apparently, the broads have no idea who I am, or so they say. Hit it, Gladys.
Behar wasn't trending because of what she said. She was trending because two guys laughed her into irrelevance while she wasn't even watching. And somehow she was still the main character, even without being in the room. Let's rewind and break this down for what it really is. Joy Behar's career, a blooper reel of half-baked outrage, off-the-mark hot takes, and opinions so disconnected from the real world they make sci-fi sound believable. She's that one person at the party who hijacks every convo, insists on delivering an unsolicited TED talk about world events, while butchering half the country names and misquoting everything like she read it off a cereal box. She floats in her own reality bubble, speaking in absolutes, demanding applause like it's oxygen, like without that clapping, she might collapse. And that's exactly where Gutfeld flipped the script. He didn't bark back. He didn't throw hands or throw shade. He just laughed. Literally, he grinned, raised an eyebrow, and let the jokes do the dirty work. No yelling. No political monologue. Just cold, sharp comedy that took down an entire persona brick by brick. He didn't come to fight. He came to expose. It wasn't a war. It was a wrecking ball disguised as a punchline. And Joy. She still thinks she's leading the charge. She's like the bandleader on a sinking cruise ship. Water's already rising past her knees, everyone's bailed, and she's still conducting like the show must go on. That's the absurdity. The denial. The delusion. Gutfeld and Tyrus didn't need to go head-to-head with her. They just let reality handle that. All they did was flip the camera on, aim it straight at the mess, and let the viewers decide.
Gutfeld talks about you all the time.
Who is he? Really, who is he?
I don't watch the show.
He has a show.
I don't watch the
never
show.
heard of him.
Yeah.
I guess he's just obsessed with me.
No. Next, Joy's going to say she's never heard of carbs. Seriously, her denial of knowing me is as believable as her red hair. But obsession? I mean, come on, Joy. Where would you even get that idea? Like Joy Behar's face, it's looking worse and worse by the day. More full of crap than Joy Behar after a night of scotch and Taco Bell. Her being named Joy is like me being named ugly. Joy wasn't there on the show. Apparently Mondays are her days off when she feeds in the pasture. It now smells like a humid day inside Joy Behar's moon.
And that mess. It's called The View, once meant to be a daytime panel show. It's now a full-blown stage play for politically confused drama queens. It's no longer conversation. It's performance art for the unhinged. What used to be debates now feels like a live-action Twitter thread, acted out by hosts trying to one-up each other's eye rolls and emotional outbursts. It's not even about facts anymore. It's about who can yell louder, cry harder, or toss the wildest headline into the chaos. And Gutfeld. He just sits back, lets the circus unfold, and hits record. Greg Gutfeld's not even in the ring. He's up on a rooftop, sipping his coffee, watching this daytime soap unfold like a rerun. You can practically see him shaking his head, wondering how this show is still alive. Then, casually, with zero effort, he lobs a grenade, a sharp comedic segment that blows up the entire illusion that The View ever had moral authority. He's not just poking fun at Joy Behar, he's dismantling the idea of her. Because Greg doesn't need bells and whistles. He doesn't show up with props or yelling matches. His weapon? Silence, a smirk, a well-placed pause. The man's entire routine is built on understatement. He speaks volumes just by raising an eyebrow. And Tyrus? Here's the quiet storm. Where Joy needs background music and a cheer squad just to land a point, Tyrus just hits you with half a sentence and leaves the rest hanging in the air like you get it, right? The message couldn't be clearer. Joy Behar's act expired 3 scandals ago. There's a certain comedy in watching someone beg to be taken seriously while acting like a walking parody.
Oh, this is what elitists do who can't, like, if you don't know who someone is, how did you know to automatically hate him? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, that's how fake and full of she is. Gutfeld, never heard of him. Don't like him. Why? Cause why? That's why I just turned to one of my kids. Cause why?
Yeah.
Cause I don't know who he is. Never heard of him at all in my entire life. But why? Cause I don't know. Because they are the last TV show to talk about high turnover. Mm-hmm. We've been rolling 3 steady for a long time.
Yeah.
We don't take breaks in the commercial to get away from each other. Well, that's what the drinking's for.
Yes.
Megan McCain, how'd that go?
Yeah.
Rosie O'Donnell, or any of these previous fellow employees? Because one of the things they said was that no one walks away from money. Right?
Yeah.
So they got people running away from it.
Joy preaches with the confidence of a professor, but spits out facts like someone who fell asleep in high school civics. She's got the energy of a foghorn, the subtlety of a street parade, and the accuracy of a broken Jeep. She doesn't win the crowd with cleverness, she wins it with clatter. The applause she feeds off doesn't come from wit, it comes from ideological loyalty. The crowd's not laughing because it's funny. They're clapping because they know they're supposed to. Meanwhile, Gutfeld and Tyrus operate in a different dimension, one where real laughter lives. The kind of laughter that sneaks up on you. The kind you can't fake. The kind that hits you when someone finally points out the ridiculous thing you didn't even realize was ridiculous. Joy needs a teleprompter and a trained audience. Gutfeld. He just needs a single camera and a savage punchline. Joy Behar has been drowning in applause for so long, she started mistaking it for real agreement. She thought the cheers meant she was right, untouchable, even. But Greg Gutfeld didn't need to storm the stage or get in her face. He just laughed from afar, cool, calm, and sharp, while she stood on her imaginary balcony, waving like royalty, convinced the crowd still adored her.
The problem is that you have to go after the racist people. And if the CEO goes, you know what, I'm not going to allow a woman on my show, or man, that will go after white America and talk about them like dogs. That doesn't represent our ideals or values for anyone. And get rid of those people, and this will clear up real quick. So do you have to actually look in the mirror and clean up your own backyard and get the racist people out? Because that's who you allowed in. You allowed black racist on TV who could just go all day and say anything about white people. And I guess lo and behold, they forgot that there's a lot of people at home, white people at home during the day, that are not watching your show anymore. So just clean it up.
Yeah, you know, Emma.
And then there's Tyrus. No need for loud words or flashy rebuttals. He gave her that look, the one that quietly says, "You actually believe what you just said." Then he turned and walked off, and OMIC drop needed, just pure silence. And in that silence was the loudest form of mockery. Because you can't battle satire with sincerity. You can't shut down irony with outrage. And Joy. She's been the queen of performative outrage for years, storming stages with emotion, while Gutfeld ducks her swings using jokes, timing, and cold logic wrapped in absurd humor. It's not that she can't grow, it's that she's married to the act. She could quit the show, change the script, even step back from the chaos, but she won't. Why? Because on TV, being right, even when you're wildly wrong, is addictive. That applause. It's a drug. And Joy's been hooked for too long. That's the real target Gutfeld and Tyrus aim at, not Joy the person, but Joy the performance. The curated character. The media-made persona who's mastered the art of outrage. In another moment of casual destruction, Gutfeld delivered a monologue so loaded with punchlines it felt like a hit piece in disguise, tearing apart the shaky moral compass of daytime talk TV. The crowd laughed, not because it was outrageous, but because it was accurate. He didn't even have to name her. We all knew who the jokes were about. It was like calling out the emperor's busted wardrobe without mentioning the emperor. Everybody saw it. Everybody laughed. That's comedy gold. And for the finishing move, Tyrus once again let his face do the talking. The camera cut to him, no words, no reaction, just that expression. A calm, quiet disbelief that said, "This is what we're doing now." That single look probably did more damage than a 10-minute
It's about
rant.
the view. It's become like a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. Here, let's look at this political oddity. You know, it's like, it really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that. But The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. You know, how can you now speak the truth and when for years you've been telling lie after lie after lie? Now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you because it's too harmful for their ego to admit that we really were dishonest. And they could be honest. All they would have to say is, look, we hate Trump so much. We were willing to lie about Joe Biden because we felt he was preferable. We thought our lying and our cover-up was on your behalf. Just say that. You're still scum, but at least you're an honest scum.
It hit so hard, whatever sliver of self-awareness was left in Joy's teleprompter probably melted on the spot. Let's be real, this was long overdue. Someone finally clowned The View without ever stepping on its overhyped stage. That show went from hot topics to a full-blown parody of itself. It's like watching a how-to guide on murdering nuance, but with dramatic flair and matching coffee mugs. And the wildest part, Gutfeld and Tyrus didn't even need to show up. They're already producing a way more entertaining version. No scripts, no fake applause, just raw satire with teeth. While Joy delivers every monologue like she's defending a constitutional amendment, Gutfeld shows up like he's at a cocktail party where someone brought up politics too early, uncomfortable, hilarious, and way too real. Because here's the truth, nobody wants to be lectured by someone who treats disagreement like it's contagious. Joy talks at people. Gutfeld. He laughs with them. And this wasn't just a takedown of Joy Behar, it was a takedown of the entire machine that props her up. The formula. The echo chamber. The performance disguised as insight. They didn't need to say her name once, but the message was crystal clear. Joy might still believe she's holding the MIC of moral authority, but the punchline is, the audience is laughing at her, not with her. People aren't tuning in to be scolded anymore. They're tuning out and switching over to Gutfeld and Tyrus, who are roasting the whole system with sharper aim and fewer words. What made this hit legendary wasn't the volume, it was the surgical precision. They didn't scream. They didn't melt down. They didn't even bother to raise their voices. Instead, they let the contrast speak, showing just how ridiculous the act has become by doing the opposite, staying calm, being funny, and letting the absurdity of Joy's persona collapse under its own weight. No arguments. No shouting matches. Just contrast so bold, it turned Joy Behar into a living caricature of everything they were calling her.
Sure, all that, and the price of butter. Sonny gets the game ball. If it wasn't for her, if it wasn't for her asking that question, it might have been a closer election. But when oh no, nothing really comes to mind, I was like, ching. Listen, they're bitter, they're angry, they're entitled. They also should be. This should have been a reset for everyone who pushed lies and misinformation for the last. They call them Hitler, they call these things. America rejected them. And instead of coming back and saying, we lied, they instead are now doubling down. So let her keep doing it, because if she keeps that up, we're going to keep getting the Senate and probably the House and the White House, because people see right through your lies.
That's what makes it sting. She didn't get destroyed with insults, she got outclassed by irony. While The View keeps pushing sanctimony dressed up as applause, Gutfeld and Tyrus are serving comedy with fangs. And audiences are starting to show which flavor they're really starving for. One gives you a lecture, the other gives you a laugh. And when people are fed up with being talked down to like students in detention, laughter walks away with the crown every time. Joy. She didn't even make the guest list. That's the punchline no one saw coming. While Joy Behar sat atop her squeaky studio throne, eyes locked on the door, waiting for a challenger to burst through with fanfare and fire, Gutfeld and Tyrus were already done with the battle. They weren't trying to dethrone her, they were slow roasting her legacy like leftovers in a forgotten daytime crockpot. No invite. No RSVP. No welcome mat. They didn't aim directly at her. They laughed around her. And that's what made it hit harder. This wasn't a roast with her in the chair. It was a silent dismantling, total annihilation without even calling her name. It wasn't a face-off, it was a drive-by demolition from the next block over. Gutfeld didn't step into her arena. He lit the fuse in his own studio, took a sip of coffee, and sat back as Joy's whole self-built empire started shaking from the outside in. Tyrus didn't flinch either. No shouting, no speeches. Just that signature deadpan glare and a single snort that somehow landed heavier than any of Joy's.
She sure loves running her mouth. She should. But she should. It's the only running she does. Emily! So what did you make of this? VVAC is what she called him. I don't care if you disagree or agree with him. That dude is not dumb.
No, and that is what was so ridiculous. Everything that comes out of her mouth is ridiculous, but for her to make that kind of point about someone that we all know, that regardless how you feel about his politics or him running, that he is undeniably brilliant, is so ridiculous.
Minute spiels about saving democracy. 10 and the wildest part. She still doesn't realize the shift. Joy's not the main character anymore. She's the background noise to a joke she never saw coming. That's the part that burns. Joy expected the usual fireworks, some loud back and forth, a dramatic rebuttal, maybe even a chaotic split-screen TV showdown. What she got instead? A roast where the guest of honor wasn't even invited. Imagine crafting your whole identity around sparking reactions, only to find out nobody's reacting anymore. The bear's been poked so many times it's not angry, it's just bored. The costume's faded, the act is old, and the circus skipped town years ago. And the saddest part? The crowd didn't even notice. We've hit a new era. Audiences are done with overscripted, emotionally bloated daytime rants pretending to be deep. They want sharp jokes, slick sarcasm, and side eyes that say everything without a single lecture. The cultural currency has flipped, and that performative outrage Joy banks on, it doesn't spend like it used to. The View went from being a midday battleground of bold takes to something closer to a dusty wax museum. The hosts glitch mid-sentence while pretending they're still dangerous.
Here's Joy Behar talking about refusing to share a kidney.
I could be friends with a Trump supporter. I won't give them a kidney, but I could be friends with them.
Hey, Joy, it's a kidney, not a pizza. Of course, she's kidding at first, but then she goes on to explain the moral foundation for her resentment, and it's the same one that drives all deadly ideologies.
It used to feel like live TV. Now it feels like reheated leftovers passed around by people pretending their fire hasn't fizzled. Meanwhile, Gutfeld show. It's chaos, but it's honest chaos. It's like a gritty dive bar where the bartender's got jokes and every punchline is served with a splash of truth and zero sugarcoating. It's messy. It's loud. And somehow, it still makes more sense than the overly polished nonsense being force-fed at noon. Younger viewers aren't buying what Joy's selling. They're not here for lectures from millionaire painlists who confuse applause with facts. They're done watching puppet shows where the strings are exposed and the puppeteers are yelling off script. They're tuning into Gutfeld and Tyrus not for answers, but for the smirk that reminds them none of this is that deep, and the joke was never hers to tell. And Joy. She's still out here yelling at clouds like her voice controls the sky. She hasn't noticed the storm past years ago.
Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
Meanwhile, Gutfeld's cracking jokes and raising eyebrows like he's forecasting the weather with sarcasm. And Joy. She's stuck throwing shade at thunder like she's got divine power. Spoiler alert, the sky's moved on, and so has everyone else. So, wherever you are, Joy, probably backstage rehearsing another segment where every nod and clap is pre-programmed before you even speak, just know this, the takedown already happened. You just weren't there when it aired. You didn't need to be. Gutfeld and Tyrus didn't need your presence to roast you. They only needed what you've already left behind, your brand, your behavior, your show. That was all the material they needed. The rest wrote itself. That's how you truly dismantle someone, without ever raising your voice, without even stepping into the ring. You let the satire speak. And in this case, the punchline was the legacy. Let's check on Joy's throne now. Oh, wait. It's just a shaky old stool propped up by reruns, a fading laugh track, and takes that aged like warm milk. Somebody grab a broom. This set's ready for cleanup.